Welcome to PENSARE Basketball. We are going to go into a very quick dive into Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram via a Scottie Barnes video session, just a brief video session. And then we're going to look at the big problem that the Toronto Raptors have, which is last night, despite the win, their starting lineup continues to have a little bit of oil and water chemistry. And it was a brilliant solution by Darko Rajakovic, head coach Darko Rajakovic, who is my favorite candidate right now to win the coach of the year for the NBA in 2026. His brilliant strategy to stagger two starters with three shooters off the bench and how this lineup really projects forward in terms of what I believe the Toronto Raptors are going to be going forward. So Titans saying, I need Scottie Barnes to put on a statement tomorrow, drop 50. Scottie Barnes is not going to drop 50 points tomorrow. But let's look at some of the stuff that Scottie Barnes did. So a lot has been made of Scottie's new role, and the Toronto media is just like, hey, this guy's the ultimate role player, right? He is the ultimate role player. Well, my question to you is, isn't everybody a role player? Was Kevin Garnett a role player? I mean, impact is impact, and Scottie Barnes made a significant impact on the game yesterday. We're going to take a look at some of the things that he was able to do against this Hawks defense. Now, again, there's a bit of a temptation when a team struggles and one team does well to go for the hot takes, right? Everybody is struggling right now to kind of prove that they were right or they were wrong. And so, when Wemby dunks and has a lot of success, people who've been asking him to go to the paint are like, see, I told you he needed to be a big man. That's the panel discussion that we had today, which I totally reject. And when Scottie Barnes does connective stuff, I think what Scottie Barnes showed yesterday was a floor for what he is on a bad night. And it's crazy to call what he did a bad night because he was arguably the best player in the game. And I'm going to prove it to you. So take a look here. This action that the Raptors run here, running a screen for Brandon Ingram coming off and getting that little bit of separation against that sort of 2-on-1 defender with one defender on his tail. This is a play that you run for Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter, and Brandon Ingram. This is like the three players that you can do this for, and that's their skill set. That's what they do. Pull-up jump shooting. You can also run this for Emmanuel quickly in theory. And so here, the fake pass here, which sort of deters Zach Ricochet, and Brandon Ingram is able to attack against length here, and he is a very good paint finisher. Something that he and Scottie Barnes both share, Jakob Poeltl, is you have three players who can absolutely finish in the paint. Here, RJ Barrett is going to make the pass to Scottie Barnes. Now, Scottie Barnes takes this defender retreating. Now, that's Dyson Daniels. Wait, is that Zachary Ricochet? I apologize. That's Zachary Ricochet. A lot of length there, and we get Jalen Johnson helping on this drive, right? Thinking that Scottie's just going to bully him, and that is going to leave RJ open. And this is the absolute importance of RJ Barrett here because he has to hit these shots, and Scottie does the perfect thing here where he draws two to the ball and gets RJ a wide open jumper. Something that Pascal was able to do for Scottie. Now Scottie is able to do for RJ. Perfect. Here, Scottie is running the point. This is not a connective, sort of thing here. This is what point guards do. They bring the ball up the court, they read the offense, and this is just simply a very in the offense assist here. He is not special for making this pass. Literally every player on this team can make this pass. Every player on this team can make the read. Okay. Once again, you use Jakob Poeltl as the screener to get Ingram's guy off of him, trailing the play here. And once again, Zach Ricochet cannot guard Brandon Ingram. There's really one player who is a favorable, I would say, good matchup for Ingram, and even he, I don't think, can guard him, and that's Jalen Johnson. And this was always going to be the complication of playing a team like the Toronto Raptors, which is who do you put on Scottie, and who do you put on Ingram, and who do you put on RJ? They choose to go by fit, so they go with the stronger defender on Scottie because they think that Scottie is just going to bully Zach Ricochet the entire night. That leaves Zach Ricochet to try and guard Brandon Ingram, and he is very ill-equipped. That being said, I think the defensive help that Ingram drew is a reason why his efficiency was not so great. I mean, he was the one player who kind of sticks out. He and Quickly were the two players who were not super efficient on a night where you shoot 58% from the field. Two of your starters shooting below 50% from the field is is quite glaring. But please understand that quickly he's not going to miss 7 threes on most nights. He's not going to go 0 for 7. So that is irrelevant to me. Like, that's just shooting variance. And Ingram taking these hard shots is very important, because for every shot, one of these shots he takes, he's going to open up passes for other players as well. He has to be willing to take these shots. And that's why he's here. He's here because this is his game. Isolation scoring. What the Raptors did yesterday, which was so different than what Ingram looked like with the Pelicans, was he didn't have to self-generate all of these shots for himself. Yeah, he did a little bit of that. There was a little bit of, hezzy tween, pull, get guys off balance and then finish at the rim. There's a lot of that stuff. And you're going to need that in the playoffs when the Raptors, notice I said when the Raptors get to the playoffs, you're going to need Brandon Ingram to be able to go in his bag. You're going to need Scottie Barnes to be able to hit post-ups. You're going to need RJ to hit, to be able to, punish a weaker defender on a drive and finish at the basket. You're going to need all of these things when the game slows down. But right now, honestly, within the offense, Brandon Ingram can be so much more efficient than he was yesterday. And once again, looking at Scottie plays here, a little bit of a no contact screen here, but you don't need a lot of separation to get Jamal shed, and boom, there's the clearance. Onyeka Okongwu is like, who was supposed to be there? Somebody was supposed to be there. Here, Scottie's just going to backcourt Luke Kennard. Like, this is just terrible defense by the Hawks. Terrible transition defense. And Scottie is going to be opportunistic, and RJ Barrett with the sort of makeshift no-look pass there. And Scottie Barnes does not need that much space or that much time to finish on that. Here, once again, RJ bringing the ball up the court. I like RJ bringing up the ball. I like quickly bringing up the ball. I like Ingram. I like any one of these guys bringing the ball up, because any one of them can draw the help. Any one of them can collapse the defense. Here, RJ, boom, pass to Scottie. And now here, Scottie is going downhill against Onyeka Okongwu. Again, a defender who should, in theory, be the perfect matchup for Scottie Barnes. Now, Onyeka did not start because, the Hawks wanted to start 3 wings against the Raptors, but Onyeka is a very good defender, and Scottie is just going to take him off the dribble. A little bit of a post up here. Jonathan Mobo is very much in the way. Should have probably cleared out to the corner. And here, Scottie, seeing that KP is there, is just going to hit this jumper. Does this look like a role player basket to you? I feel like the coverage on Scottie's game yesterday was a little bit weird. Like, he did play really well. Now, obviously, I downplayed it heavily in the game, in the post game, because I really don't need to tell you how good I think Scottie is. And the reason I downplayed it is because I expect more. I expect more than 22, 9, and 6 from Scottie. I think that's an average game for Scottie Barnes. I thought RJ played exceptionally. I thought Grady played exceptionally, and I wanted to devote the post game to giving those guys their flowers. And I sort of downplayed Scottie's game, and I said he was okay. He was average. He was average. But the crazy thing is, something I talked about with Brian when we interviewed Scottie's trainer was he gets easy ones. And when you get easy baskets and you start to pad in a couple of threes, a couple of these shots, you build up to like 28, 29 points per game very easily in your prime. And this shot is not an easy shot to stop at all. Here, once again, just running transition, get buckets. You don't think Michael Jordan and Dwayne Wade ever cut to the basket like this? Of course. Run out in transition. LeBron got transition dunks when he was playing with Miami. He got fewer when he played with, the Cleveland Cavaliers. There's a reason for that. When you play with more talent, you should get easier baskets. That's the point. Kevin Durant's efficiency went up huge when he played with the Golden State Warriors. Now here, Scottie Barnes, create. Not a role player basket, by the way. Not a role player basket. This is not a role player basket. It may not look as, appealing or as sexy as some of those other finishes from stars, but it is effective nonetheless. It's 2 points is 2 points, right? Like, what I appreciate about the analytics is they really don't care how it looks. They care if it goes in. And while I also do appreciate the art of basketball, I also appreciate the science of basketball. And the science of basketball is Scottie Barnes is a very hard player to stop, right? Here, it's just catching it off the move. Jalen Johnson is behind this play. Now, look at how quickly he is able to process the court. Now, what's the play here? The paint is completely congested. There's no space. This is not, and I'm pointing to this because this is the starting lineup. These are your starters. This is the floor. This is what Ingram and Barnes and Quickly have to work with. This is what Jakob Poeltl and RJ Barrett are working with. This spacing is bad. Okay, this shouldn't be what it looks like. But here we're going to make something out of nothing because Jalen Johnson is going to reach, gamble, and Barnes is going to catch. Kristaps Porzingis being over alert as a help defender. Dyson Daniels is looking over. RJ Barrett is probably just a little bit late getting out of the way to get his man out of the way. You got to clear out, right? So if this is, no offense, if this is Grady, Grady is already up at the corner. This is where off-ball movement is very important here. But Jakob Poeltl stays in that dunker spot. And while Jakob Poeltl is in the dunker spot, and this is a good thing for Jakob Poeltl because Scottie is going to find him right here, this is also a terrible thing for Scottie because you're leaving him to go up against their best two defenders, which is Dyson Daniels and Kristaps Porzingis. Scottie could easily, and we saw him do it last year, bump Jalen Johnson and take a back and backstep and take a fadeaway jump shot. We saw him do it many times last year. He was very effective doing it. But right now, instead of taking a jump shot, which could at most be a 45 to 50% efficiency shot, why not get Jakob Poeltl 100% shot? Now, Jakob Poeltl almost fumbles that because of his mask, but it's an easy process here. This is just bully ball. This is the Giannis stuff that people want to talk about. And no, this is not role player buckets, okay? This is the same shit we glaze Giannis for, and this is exactly what Scottie did. Just bumps Jalen Johnson. That is not an easy dude to bump. Jalen Johnson weighs more than Scottie Barnes. I am willing to bet money that Jalen Johnson is about 250 to 255 pounds. So Scottie is just able to do things. And here, just again, read the offense, run up the court. He got 4 points just like this. And boom, right? Now here you get Zach Ricochet. Now Jalen Johnson has no chance. Zach Ricochet has less than no chance. Scottie is just going to put the shoulder down, finish right around the help, take two to the rim. And you know what? When his knee starts to feel better, that's going to be a dunk. That's going to be a dunk. And for everybody who is confused about what the Raptors are doing, this is what the Raptors are doing. Okay. Now here, once again, easy basket in transition. There's nothing to overthink here. This is a wide open dunk. Okay. Wide open dunk. Defense leads to offense. Why do the Toronto Raptors pressure so much? They want to get out in transition. They want to run. Now here, Mr. Point Guard, Scottie Barnes. Okay. This is the same shit that Kyle Lowry. Now look at how the Hawks defenders are sort of centering in on him. You've got one right on his foot. You've got three who are honing up to him. This is because he is not easy to stop going to the basket. And all of this gravitational pull, watch how he slows down. This is what I say, what Quickly does not do, Barnes does very well in the transition game. Because again, this is a chess match. The chess match here is you've got three defenders who are honing in on you. You've got a player on the wing, on the left wing, who is sprinting full speed. So now if you continue to sprint and that player continues to sprint, no advantage is going to be created. But the second you kind of slow down a little bit, watch that, like watch him slow down a little bit. You are able to get Ochai Agbaji a wide open shot. Okay. Look, let me go back and just watch that again and just watch where they are. Man, I hope I don't get a copyright for this, but here. So right here, there is, if we're counting how far ahead Ochai is of Scottie, he is about 3 feet to 4 feet ahead of Scottie, right? But watch the slowdown. Now we're 8 feet, 9 feet, 12 feet, 15 feet. And once you get that 15 feet of separation, that's where the pass can be made. You cannot pass at rapid speed. That's how turnovers happen. Like when you get too many turnovers, it's usually a spacing issue. The Raptors had a lot of turnovers last night. They actually had more turnovers than the Hawks. That should pretty much never happen. With the way the Raptors play defense, the turnovers are something the Raptors have to cut out. The missed threes, I promise you have not seen the best of the Toronto Raptors. But what we just saw right here, which is a downhill athlete like Ochai Agbaji or RJ Barrett, or even Scottie Barnes. If BI is handling it on the break, Scottie Barnes could be doing this. This idea of understanding transition spacing is very important because the Raptors were one of the team that was one of the most frequent transition teams last year, and their transition efficiency was absolutely trash last year. But this is how you do it. And once again, short roll, right? But here, quickly is going to take the defender on his hip, which is Trae Young, and he's going to make a really good pass to Scottie Barnes, and Scottie Barnes is going to make a really good decision. Instead of forcing this drive, the counter to the drive, which is the congested paint, right, is Jakob, because Jakob Poeltl is right there demanding the ball. You're not going to throw it to Jakob Poeltl. You don't have the space to do it. This is too easy a pass to steal. You're not going to pass to Grady Dick because what advantage would that really create? You're not going to really pass to BI because he's got Dyson. The right shot here, analytically and everything, is for you to just take a free throw line jump shot. We know you can make this shot. Jalen Johnson has his hands down a little bit, but that's a contested jump shot. Jalen is long. You got a 7'2" wingspan, 7'1" wingspan. So, and once again, run in transition. Look at Scottie calling for the ball up ahead of the play. Grady, good pass, Grady Dick. And here, once again, why does Scottie go wide? Look at the play again and see how this guy is mapping the court, right? Scottie goes wide to create this pass to Jakob Poeltl because he has one defender back, right? Catching it wide allows for Kristaps Porzingis to cheat over to Scottie and Scottie to just throw this pass right to Jakob Poeltl. If Scottie goes right to the basket, it makes Kristaps Porzingis' job way easier. It is easier to stop two offensive players who are 3-4 feet apart than it is to stop two offensive players, especially when one of them has proven to you all night he is willing to and able to make that mid-range jump shot. Now, let's take a look at, just quickly, I don't want to dive too deeply into this. It's one game. The lineup data will change a lot, but this is something I'm going to be monitoring in our Sunday shows, and this is not something that I intend to cover a lot in our regular shows. But overall, this is the game in a nutshell. This is their shot chart versus your shot chart. My God, like your paint efficiency and paint frequency, the Raptors scored 80 points in the paint. You see right there, Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett, Grady Dick, all, with 20 plus points. It's kind of crazy to think the Raptors had 3 20 plus point scorers, and none of them were Brandon Ingram. And that kind of comes down to the efficiency argument and the minutes argument. Ingram just didn't play a lot of minutes, and Ingram was the highest usage player last night. And we'll take a look at the usage very briefly. But Scottie Barnes was able to really rack up like 22 points, 9 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 9 assists on a game where he had less than 20% usage. Less than 20% usage is lower than his rookie year usage. So, if we're being honest, this should be the floor for Scottie. This should not be the ceiling. This is not a game worth glazing. This is a game that he can replicate 1,000 times. There aren't a lot of players that can say that my floor is 22, 9, and 6. But on this team, with this many cutters and this many movement shooters, you can absolutely pencil in, if Scottie is dialed in, 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists should be the floor for him. That type of game should be the norm. It's those 35 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists type of games that could be like, that's a good game for Scottie. I think the bar needs to change. Look, he has reiterated multiple times now. He did it on his stream. He did it to William Lou the other day. He wants to win MVP. If he wants to win MVP, number one, he's going to have to get his usage up past 20%. Ain't no MVP in the league, in the history of the NBA, who's ever won MVP getting 20% usage. But number two, get on the glass. 6 rebounds was a disappointing outcome for Scottie Barnes. I think you need to get on the glass a little bit more. He picked up a whole bunch of rebounds late, picked up a bunch of assists late. He had a relatively quiet game, but nevertheless, this is the lineup data, and I do want to take a look at this. And I apologize if this is a little bit, faint. I hope that you have a big screen so you can see this. This is Toronto. These are Toronto's positive lineups, which is to say, these are the lineups that actually won minutes on the night. Quickly, Agbaji, Barnes, Mamukelashvili, and Grady Dick in 2.5 minutes. That lineup won their minutes by 9 points. Ingram, Agbaji, Mamu, Dick, and Jamal Shed won their lineups, won their minutes in 3.5 minutes. They won that by 6 points. Ingram, quickly, Agbaji, Mamukelashvili. Are you seeing a trend? The starting lineup is not the dominant lineup for this team. What you're seeing is 2 starters, 3 bench players, 2 starters, 3 bench players, 2 starters, 3 bench players, 2 starters, 3 bench players. Your top 4 lineups, in fact, your top 4 lineups are all 2 starters and 3 bench players. Your 5th lineup, Ingram, Pirtle, Quickly, Abaji, Battle, is 3 starters and 2 bench players. Your next one down is, once again, 3 starters, 2 bench players, which is Ingram, Pirtle, Barnes, Grady Dick, Jamal Shed. Then you have a transitional lineup with Scottie and Barnes, Scottie Barnes and RJ Barrett, with 3 bench players, Jamal Shed, Jonathan Mobo, and Jamison Battle. Then you have a Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett, Jamal Shed, Mobo, Dick lineup. Again, the lineup trend continues where it's 2 starters, 3 bench players. I think you can maybe even get away with 1 starter if that starter is either Barnes or Ingram. You can also get away with, and again, I made a video saying this team is going to be a 50-win team. I feel very comfortable saying I'll be close. Maybe don't get to 50. I think 47, 48 is very reasonable, very doable. We'll see how the season rolls out. I also made a video saying this team is incredibly deep because I think 2 of your 4 best bench players or 5 best bench players did not play this game. And it's interesting to see how Colin Murray Boyles is going to change the equation a lot. Like, I have a feeling this guy is so NBA ready right now. As a screener, he's your second best screener. Everything the Raptors do requires the screener to be good and the screener to know what he's doing with the ball and without the ball. Like, basically, this is the nutshell of it. Shooting talent, movement, shooting talent, isolation, shooting talent, screening movement, placement, spacing. Like, this is the clearest equation that I can point to the Raptors basketball working. The final, lineup here, which is a lineup that played quite a few minutes, which is Ingram, Barrett, Quickly, Barnes, and Dick. They played quite a few minutes, and they had a positive rating of 2. Was it 2? Yeah. Wait a second. Where the hell are the Raptors starters? Did I miss the Raptor starters? Hold on 1 second. Let me pull this up. Ingram, Barrett, Quickly, Barnes, Dick. Where are we here? Hold on 1 second. I'll pull it up. Was it a neutral lineup? The Raptors starters went together, played, I think, 12 minutes total, and they won their minutes by 1. So to clarify that, I apologize if that's not on here. That lineup is not on here right now for some reason. But these are all the other transitional lineups. These are the lineups that absolutely had a net 0 neutral. They all played around 1 minute, and they weren't great lineups per se. But these were all lineups that had a net neutral. And let's take a look at the negative lineups. And this is very interesting. So the negative lineups, these are all the lineups that lost minutes. Okay. So we have an all bench lineup. Abaji, Dick, Shed, Mobile, Battle lost their minutes by 4. Pirtle, Barrett, Quickly, Barnes, Abaji. So that's 4 starters when you replace Abaji for Ingram, which is pretty much last year's team, if we're being honest. That lineup lost their minutes by 4, right? Barrett, Barnes, Mamu, Dick, Shed lost their minutes by 4. Ingram, Pirtle, Quickly, Abaji, Barnes lost their minutes by 3. Again, this is one game. This is not a big deal. This is not something that, is not going to change over the season. Maybe the starting lineup will have more success. This is the advanced box score for the game, okay? And this is interesting because here you can sort of see, sorry, this is not the advanced box score. This is the basic box score. We already see what happened, obviously. In terms of game score, it is worth noting Scottie Barnes had the highest game score between both teams, 23.7. If you're someone who believes in that stat, I'm not someone who cares very much about it, but this was the highest win shares per 48 that Scottie's ever had in an opening night ever. This would be a career high in assist percentage, a lot of things. So Scottie Barnes, assist percentage of 33.5% puts him right there with most point guards in the NBA. He assisted on a tremendous amount. He was very happy being a passer. 19.9 usage was the interesting part. So assist percentage of 33.5 with a turnover percentage of 6. So he had the lowest turnover percentage of pretty much every single player other than Grady Dick, who played a consequential role in the offense. So he kept the turnovers super low, and he had 9 assists. So that is incredible, right? It was like a 9-to-1, I think, assist turnover ratio. The 19.9% usage is interesting, and it's important to realize turnovers impact your usage as well. So had he turned it over one more time, that would have been usage. Ultimately, usage comes down to who ends the play, right? And I think Scottie Barnes probably, last year he was trending towards 27% usage. Towards his rookie season, sophomore season, it was closer to like 20, 21-ish, 22. So here you kind of see the point that I'm making, which is this was a weird Scottie game. And let me make myself small. I do have to be on playback at 10 o'clock, 10:05, and I do have to pick up my laundry. So I'm going to make this very, very quick when I say this. The Toronto Raptors starting lineup, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, is not great. The lineups that work almost always involve Barrett and Jakob Poeltl going to the bench, with one of Scottie or RJ going to the bench, and then 3 kind of movement spacing shooters. You have 3 players who are not great spacers, and your entire game philosophy depends on spacing. All the screens, all the off-ball actions, all the cuts, everything predicated on getting guys to the basket, getting guys to open spots on the court. That's what Grady feasted on. That's what Ingram should feast on for the rest of the season. That's what Jakob Poeltl will feast on. Everybody is suffering because the starting lineup simply does not work. It is a big problem for the Raptors. Now, obviously, Darko cannot decide who his starters are. As much as I would like to tell you this is high school basketball and he can simply alternate one guy out for another and say, quickly go to the bench, or Jakob Poeltl, sorry, the minimum guy is going to start over you so that we have better spacing. That's not going to happen. That's simply not going to happen. Your 5 highest paid players are very regularly going to be your starters. For the Raptors, the problem continues that they are winning. They're going to win games despite the fact that their starting lineup is not optimal. What makes their starting lineup not optimal? Once again, it was the concern that everybody had all offseason, which is you have players who need space, players who need corners, players who need spots on the elbow, spots on the floor. Ingram, Barnes both need that same spot. RJ needs driving angles. Poeltl and quickly need space. Any player who has the basketball, when they bring the second player into the action, it is the success of that action between those 2 guys is dependent on the third player in that action and the 2 players not in the action. What the 2 players do, how they do it. You have very good off-ball players coming off your bench. It is a true cheat code. You may not respect Mamu Kelishvili. You may not respect Colin Murray-Boyles. You may not respect Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter, Ochai Agbaji, but these guys do tremendous work off the ball. Jakob Poeltl, Scottie Barnes also do tremendous work off the ball. Ingram, Barrett also provide spacing. It's a weird situation where all these players are great, but when you put them together, they make a really weird cocktail, right? Salt is good. Sugar is good. Lemons are good. Chocolate is good, right? Like, it reminds me of, remember that Friends episode where Rachel bakes that pie and she gets the two recipe pages stuck together and she makes a shepherd pie. I can't believe I'm going on with a Friends reference on a basketball live, but that's kind of what this is. And Joey's the only one who can eat it. He's like, well, what's wrong with this? Custard, good. Beef, good. Like, but no, on a basketball court, that's not good. What the Toronto Raptors need, and I think that this points to a larger problem that's happening across the NBA, if we're being honest, right? Like, we watched the Utah Jazz beat the shit out of the LA Clippers last night. They had size. They had a ton of size. The Clippers decided to start small against them, thinking that the talent would overwhelm. And it was proof that even with 3 all-star caliber players in Zubats, Kawhi, and James Harden, you can lose they were losing by 33 points to the Utah Jazz. Will Hardy simply exercised better spacing. Walker Kessler was getting right to the basket. Lauri Markkanen and big dude who we passed on, Filipowski, they were able to space the corners. Keontae George was able to attack. Bryce Sensabaugh was able to attack. Please definitely go check the highlights out of that game. It was very interesting to watch. Will Hardy coached circles around the Clippers, And it just comes down to this. The Boston Celtics lineup is not the only way you can do it. You don't need to have just 5 shooters on the court playing hot potato, but you do need spacing to operate. I think it remains to be seen whether the Toronto Raptors have the pieces from the starting lineup who can mold themselves, right, into being able to do this stuff. Because the truth is, if Ingram and Quickly are handling the basketball, the other players are not able to properly space for them. If Quickly wants to run pick and roll with Jakob Pertl or even with Scottie Barnes, then the other 3 players are not able to help them. This is going to be a problem, and it's going to continue to be a problem when you face good teams. You're going to have a limit because these starters are going to start games, start quarters, finish games, sometimes finish halves, and you're going to lose those minutes. Now, yesterday against the Hawks, a lot of people have been very quick to label the Hawks as a terrible team and whatever. They're not very good because the Raptors beat them. I went back and I studied all the film on what the Hawks did. I don't think the Hawks played terrible defense. I mean, there were definitely glaring moments of bad transition defense, bad communication, bad body language, Trae Young not getting back. There's tons of that. It was very good to watch that game again because in real time, you miss a lot of things. That being said, I don't think that they completely botched every coverage. I don't think that it's inconceivable that, Dyson Daniels should be able to stop an RJ Barrett drive or at least contain it, that Kristaps Porzingis should be able to contain a Brandon Ingram, coming off a screen and going downhill and contesting at the basket. I mean, KP's a really good defender. Dyson's a really good defender. These guys just simply were not able to stop the Raptors offense. And I think it points to the fact that the Raptors have great habits. They just have the wrong pieces. I'm curious to see how much Colin Murray-Boyles will help with this. I will say this. Colin Murray-Boyles, a lot of people have pointed to Colin Murray-Boyles stepping into the starting lineup for RJ Barrett. I'm not sure that helps you. It certainly helps you defensively, but I don't think it's going to necessarily solve your problems offensively because once again, you end up with the redundancy of shooting. Scottie Barnes hitting threes is probably going to be required, to be honest. I mean, he took 0 threes last night. He's going to have to hit threes for this to work. I'm telling you right now, unless you're willing to funnel your offense through Scottie as a helio hub, which I do not suggest at all. He is not Luka right now. He is not going to be able to carry the load. I don't want, RJ on one corner, Yak and Scottie running screens as, like you have better players to do this right now, really. And I don't think it's good for Scottie. I don't think it's good for the team. But if Scottie is not involved in that, then Scottie is either going to be a small ball center in this lineup, which I also don't think is necessarily advantageous to him. It's just a roster that doesn't work. It's easy to blow out a team by 20, 25 points, be up big, and say, I guess we don't have problems. You definitely do have problems, but for one night, and possibly for the foreseeable future, Darko Rajakovic seems to have come up with a brilliant solution. And that solution is Sandro Mamukelashvili, Grady Dick, Ochai Agbaji, and eventually Colin Murray-Boyles, Jamal Shed, these guys. There's a lot to be said about the similarity of your rotation. There's a lot to be said about the diversity of your rotation. It helps that the Raptors' 2 centers are completely different. It helps. Okay. It helps you to change pace. It helps you to disrupt rhythm. But it also helps a lot that Scottie Barnes shares a lot in common with Colin Murray-Boyles, defensively and offensively. It allows for rhythm and continuity. So when the other 4 starters remain and Scottie goes to the bench for CMB, it helps. Scottie and Ingram, I think, and this is just my opinion, should be the 2 that carry the bench units. That's what it should be. So after watching this team once, and again, watching them in preseason, my rotation would be as follows. I would pull Scottie and Ingram at around the 6-minute mark. I would bring in Grady and CMB. This would allow for more RJ touches, more IQ pick and roll, all that stuff, and would maintain some semblance of what you're doing defensively between Scottie and CMB. You would still be able to continue that. At some point, then I would swap out and I would bring probably Scottie and Ingram back. And this time I would bring them back for Scottie, Ingram, and Mamu. I'd bring them back and I'd bring them in for the other 3 starters. And now we can run Scottie at the 3, CMB at the 4, Mamu at the 5, Grady at the 2. No, actually, you know what? I'm gonna retract that. I might actually go with Jacoby instead of Jamal Shed. So people have been wondering, like, who is the odd man out? I hate to say it. I think I would go with Jacoby over Jamal Shed. You're not going to bench Ochai Agbaji. So athletic. And I think I would just run transitional units and second units with Scottie at the point, Ingram at the 3, Grady, Ochai, and CMB. Wait, that's too many players. I should probably think about this. But anyways, like these are transitional lineups that you can use. I think that would be a very good way to extend 10 men into the first quarter, and then you can do some variation of that with the other players who were not in the rotation. Absolutely. Uh, you really don't need a point guard if you have RJ, Scottie, and Ingram. I somewhat agree with that. But I do appreciate the fact that the Raptors have this brilliant ability to be able to start offense anywhere. It's great. And when, in fact, Jakob Poeltl goes to the bench, for instance, if Jakob Poeltl goes to the bench and Mamu comes in, you can start offense through 5 places because Mamu is able to initiate offense on the break. He's quick. He is wing adjacent. He is a wing adjacent big. And also, I know, stats are nothing right now, but do you know who the number 1 player in the NBA is right now in terms of net rating? Sandro Mamukelashvili. Do you know who the number 1 player in the NBA right now is in terms of defensive net rating? Mamukelashvili. So, Mamu did not necessarily have the greatest game of all time or anything, but lineups with him were so good. And it has been impossible to ignore his impact, Grady's impact, and frankly, CMB's impact on these transitional lineups. So, shout outs to the Toronto Raptors. Go get another one tomorrow. Go Blue Jays. I hope we're talking about back-to-back Toronto wins. It would be very sad to talk about back-to-back Toronto losses. That would suck if the Raptors and Jays lose tomorrow night. This is going to be a very somber post game. Just to update, we will absolutely be doing our post game show after the Jays win or lose game 1 of the World Series. I'll be watching it. You can certainly call in and talk about that. We'll be doing sort of a joint post game. Now, clearly, I'm not a baseball knower or analyst of any sort, so don't expect great insights from me. But people want to talk about it. People want to watch it. I want to allow them. I don't want to have to make you choose between a Raptors post-game show and watching game 1 of the World Series. That's just stupid. So our post-game show is going to be delayed tomorrow. The game starts at 6:30. I think the Blue Jays game starts at 8, if I'm not mistaken, 8:10. So what do I think of Rozier? I don't have any thoughts. I think sports betting is just infiltrated too much of the NBA. It's too prominent, it's too front facing, and these types of problems are to be expected. So that's what I'll say. I got to jump on playback right now to cover the Denver Nuggets versus the Golden State Warriors. Right now, I'm curious to see what's happening with the Pacers, and oh my goodness, the Pacers are up on the OKC Thunder. I cannot believe it, but it is actually real. The Indiana Pacers have come back. So the Pacers are about to deliver a win. Wow. Okay. Crazy. Okay. I will talk to you all later. Enjoy and have a wonderful night, and certainly and catch you guys tomorrow. I will say this. I did go back and watch the Milwaukee Bucks, just to study the opponent tomorrow. It's not going to be an easy game, guys. You're going to need to close out the corner shooters, and you're going to really need to contain Giannis. I really hope CMB is able to play tomorrow because you're going to need healthy bodies on Giannis. And I think CMB is going to be one of the few players in the league that I would trust on Giannis. Also, I will say one more thing. I watched Wemby's performance last night, in preparation for the panel. And the only thing I will say about that is Victor Wembanyama is incredible. The player to stop him is not the player that you think it is. The player to stop him actually might be on your roster. You might have 2 players that might be the best Wemby matchups in the league, and that probably is Scottie Barnes and CMB. I think those 2 are pretty much like the type of player you would have to defend him with. Guys who have 7-foot plus length, have really strong bases, and are able to body and physical him. I think I'll be very curious to see the Raptors versus the Spurs coming up in a few games because I actually think Scottie and CMB will have a lot of success against Wemby. I could be wrong. Of course, Wemby could torch us for 50. I mean, wouldn't surprise me. Anything that Alien does not surprise me at this point. Talk to y'all later. Have a great one. Make sure to hit like on this video. I appreciate y'all very, very much. And shout outs to all of our members. And if you're not a member, I mean, I appreciate you anyway. Please subscribe. We just recrossed the mark on subscribers of 600. So you know, we will do the Sunday show. The Sunday show will be awesome. I'm already preparing for it, but this is what you get to be a member. Y'all got perks. We got perks. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a beautiful night.